WTF. It is 112 degrees here in beautiful Sherman Oaks, so I'm having a bit of a meltdown, but especially with hot lights on me, that's even more fun, isn't it? So we're gonna get through the show, more than get through the show. We're gonna learn some things and why we get depressed when we retire. And this is not a new phenomenon. This has been spoken about quite a bit, that people who build a life, build a career, build anything, projects, businesses, commitments, friendships, status, so on and so forth, when they retire and give it up, that is a big, big change. So this is a call-in show, everybody. I want you to please tune in, get on the couch, call me at 323-524-2599. So I'm going to start with a little story about my father, who was a very, very interesting, funny, entrepreneurial man, and he built a beautiful business. As a matter of fact, it was a sales business where he had lots and lots of people working for him, and he would get up early in the morning. He always had ideas, and he was very, very actively involved in purchasing and selling and selecting items and training his crew and joking with his crew and socializing with his staff and so on. And then he got very, very ill in his 50s and couldn't go on. He had a series of surgeries, and he got sicker and sicker, and he just couldn't hold the business together. And so he had to close it down. From that point on, other than the fact that he was sick, of course, that's going to take a hit on his mood, he got very, very depressed. And so, one thing that I noticed is that he didn't have that same purpose in life. I used to see him up at 3 o'clock in the morning in his little office, jotting down ideas, creating connections, figuring out his next move, figuring out his next marketing strategy. And now all that was concentrated on, obviously, getting better, going to doctor's visits, taking care of his health. And all that goes without saying. It's just that he had such a big thing missing in his life. And I think that the vitality of all of this together and the forced retirement created a very, very heavy missing in his life. So let's talk about retirement carefully. I know it's an ideal, and as a matter of fact, I think of myself as semi-retired, and I will never retire. Just for you to know, unless I have to, because I can't move, can't talk, something comes up. I'm just not interested in retiring. I'm interested in pursuing, being a giver, pursuing, disseminating information to people who I come in contact with, like you. And I always want to be somebody who is influencing the betterness of humanity. And for me to do that, I cannot retire. Of course, I can volunteer, and sometimes I do a little bit of that just to help people out. However, it's super important for me to keep engaged in something that took me years and years to build. So let's start by talking about the fantasy of retirement. Okay, so what is the fantasy? Let's think about it. Walks on the beach, trips to Hawaii and the Caribbeans and Bali, and skiing and painting and drinking wine on the Côte d'Azur and all of that. Okay, so those are called vacations. And if you want to make an extended vacation into a retirement plan, of course you can. But seriously, how many margaritas can you drink? How many glasses of wine on the French Riviera can you consume? How much cheese can you eat? How much anything without it becoming kind of bland and mundane after a while? Because one of the things that gives uh, vacations versus retirement a special feeling is that they are special and they are spaced, and they are saved up, and they are time away from our daily work schedule, and therefore they are to be valued and to be planned according to things that you can afford, obviously, and things that you want to do because you don't have to time to do them in your everyday life. But then if that becomes your everyday life, then it's no longer a vacation, is it? It's just called everyday life. And one of the things that humans tend to do is accommodate to things. So if we accommodate to that lifestyle, then it's not any longer a special thing. It no longer becomes special food or a special vacation or a special time spent with your friends and family, or seeing new sights and sounds. And all of that is good. Certainly mix it up and have it as part of your life. However, be really, really careful about retirement. And if you are going to retire, let's talk about how to do it so that you don't just pull the carpet out from under your feet and go from active and busy and mentally stimulated and social to zippo, zero, sleeping in, eating whatever you want, stopping your routine, and so on. So if you are at retirement age, or you're forced into some sort of retirement, my suggestion is to have some sort of a new goal in mind. So that goal could be a hobby. It could be, well, I've always promised myself that if ever I have the time to do whatever I want, I'm going to go to the gym more often, or I'm going to take up tennis, or I'm going to start painting, or I'm going to, whatever you want to do. So that can't just be a casual now and then thing, because people just thrive on structure. And so I know for myself, if I have no structure, I will call myself a guinea pig in this conversation. This guinea pig is going to get really bored and really aimless and really depressed, and the luster will go right out from my fiber of my being. So this is a call-in show, everybody. I want to hear from people who have retired, people who are thinking about retiring, and let's mind map it. Okay, so let's say that we all come into the world with our light, whatever that light is. In my case, I'm pretty clear on what my light is and my mission on the planet, which is to heal human disconnect and work with people so that they can have paradigm shifts out of their old way of seeing and being, and shift into a new way so that they are elevating themselves and on the path to panel number 789, as I call it, which is the panel of shifting and healing and balancing. And of course, work is not the only way to do it, but let's just pretend that you have decided to retire with purpose. So let's add the word with purpose in here. So rather than I'm tired, I'm retiring, tired, the word tired is in there a lot. I'm retiring, I'm tired, it's time, like take me out to the pasture, get me to the glue factory, I don't know. Those are the images that come to mind. So I think if you can retire with purpose, because we are purposeful human beings. And if you look at panel number 1, and you look at the light in the back of the in the background, you see a light. So if you could please put up panel number 1 so people can see it as a metaphor. Do you have it there? Are you there?
Which one is it?
Panel 1.
Oh, 1, sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, just so that people could see it. So that light is, let's call it our purpose in life, the light that we bring to people, to the world. our gifts, our talents, our motivation, our influence, our goodness, our creativity. That's our light. And unless we're exercising our light in some way, the darkness will very quickly take it over. So let's metaphorically call the darkness purposelessness. So if you've got purpose and now you're signing up for purposelessness, that is not a good idea. Let's back up for a minute and let's remember how long it took you to build your career, to build whatever it is that that you've been doing in the last many, many years, maybe even decades that you're retiring from. So that is loaded with purpose. Now, if you hated what you did, then maybe it'll be easier for you to say, "Yay, I'm out of here. I can't wait to get into my hobby," or "I can't wait to spend more time with my grandchildren or my significant other," or whatever. Okay, so that's great. If you feel that way and you feel that you're better off not going into a lousy job that you've hated over the years, it's just that we still need a purpose. And even though the job might not have been ideal, there are still people there that you see every day. There are people who you interact with. There are people who challenge you. There are people who bring out both the good and the bad of you. And it's really, really important to stay engaged with other human beings, because once we disengage, we can easily fall into the pit of depression and aimlessness. So I think retiring with a purpose is a key element to planning your retirement. And not forgetting that we have a question. Okay, so I just wanted to finish my thought. So don't forget what you've built and now what you're unplugging from. And so, yeah, what is the question, please?
Someone is asking, can physical health changes during retirement contribute to your depression? And if they can, how should someone balance mental and physical well-being during your retirement?
It's a great question. I think that the body responds. So once you put that intention in your mind, "I am retiring," then the body could automatically slow down. So was the question about, say that again, about physical health, what happens to your physical health?
Yeah, they're wondering how can your physical health change during your retirement, and how can you balance mental and physical health?
Okay, I think it could change a lot, because think about every single move that gets into waking up, making yourself breakfast, getting yourself to work, choosing your, your wardrobe, interfacing with your coworkers or your boss, or if you are the boss, plan. So there's so much energy that goes into this, and energy is good for your body. So you're walking more, you're stretching more, you're moving more, you're thinking more, and these are the things that create juices. Okay, our juices start to flow. So when we're around people, our juices start to flow. And when we don't have to get up and go, our body slows down. So it's sort of like sending a message to your body, mind, and soul. Slow down, don't move your legs, don't worry. You don't have to pick yourself out of bed, go sleep for another hour. Not necessarily for you to climb those stairs, because there's no place to go. So of course it impacts your mind. Of course it impacts your body, because your body is going to move differently now that you're not working. And if you've had a sedentary job all along, then maybe it's good for you that you develop a strong pattern of an exercise routine, so that you're subbing out one purpose for another purpose. Right now, I'm at my, I guess, golden years of my career, and I have decided to have more purpose around family. So I babysit my granddaughter every week, and I'm purposefully getting back to the gym. I'm purposefully going to my taekwondo class twice a week. I'm purposefully moving. The truth be known, that if I didn't have these appointments with my master and my trainer and my yoga class and whatever it is that I do to plan my schedule, um, I probably would have a hard time getting out of bed. So, what pulls us out of bed is purpose. And even though you might think that you're going to be naturally filled with purpose, it's a myth. You've got to develop habits. Years ago, I had a stop smoking and weight control clinic called Habit Breakers. And I learned a lot working with smokers, working with overeaters. And one of the things that I learned is that it takes 21 days to break a habit. So if you are smoking or eating or doing something on a regular, habitual basis, it'll take about 21 days to break out of it. Some people say 28 days, I don't know, but at least 3-4 weeks to form a new groove in your mind. And so when you're retiring, you're basically unplugging from an old groove, but now you've got to set it up so that you're in a new groove. So you're subbing out your workday with exercise, with more time with friends and family. You're subbing it out with making sure that you're stimulated by reading or engaging in your hobbies or something, but you cannot lie dormant. You can't just celebrate, which I don't think is celebratable, which is purely just unplugging from life purpose. That's nothing to celebrate. And if you slow down, so be it. So have your purpose wrap around something that's a little bit slower pace, something that still manifests your light. That is really, really important, because if you don't continue to manifest your light, then you're allowing for laziness, being more slowed down and slower movements to eat up your life force. And so if we move to panel number 2, you can see that the reaction to not engaging with your light is that you start to literally crack up like a piece of glass. Like we all need our compass, north, south, east, west. Where are you going on Monday? What are you doing on Tuesday, Wednesday? What's your day like? Thursday, what's your day like? What's your routine? So if we don't have routine, we start cracking up, which takes me back to John Bowlby, attachment theorists, and how do we form a human psyche that's healthy, is that we build in routine for the baby. So the baby is on a schedule. The baby eats at a certain time. Baby takes naps at a certain time. The baby has playtime. So there are a lot of elements that go into scheduling, and the scheduling propels the baby forward and exercises the baby's ability to be of agency. So that's my point, is you don't want to not be of agency. That's just a lousy feeling. And then that's, again, biofeedback to your body to shut down. Oh, the universe doesn't need you. You're old, go to sleep, just watch some more YouTubes or TV or whatever you're doing, which, it's fine to do that up to a certain point. But if it's gobbling up your whole existence, then you're going to start dulling down. Let's talk about panel number 3 for a moment. So panel number 3 is how we encode. In the mind map process, this represents our negative core beliefs like we're not good enough or smart enough or lovable enough or whatever enough. Now, if you can see it as an active encoding, then think about yourself as actively engaged in the spiraling and uplifting spirit of life. So if you're not going to be climbing this ladder, if you're not going to be engaged in movement, if you're not going to be engaged in thinking and creativity, look at panel number 3. Kind of stagnant, toxic environment in the background. If you look at the little people on the um, bonds or ladders, if you will see them standing around and hanging around and sitting around. There's not a lot of motion going on. And what happens if you don't have motion, if you don't have some sort of a momentum bringing you to higher levels, making you move, making you think, what happens is that your body and your mind and your spirit start to decompensate. And if you look at panel number 4, you could see that without structure, without orientation, without schedule, without support, without people on your team, without purpose, we are in chaos. No purpose, chaos. So that's why it's so crucial to start subbing out your life with purposefulness, maybe a different type of purposefulness. Anybody want to call in and talk about their retirement, or maybe you have retired and you're experiencing some sort of purposelessness and depression and boredom and lack of community and so forth. Me personally, I find it really, really hard to fight for making new friends and being in community and staying engaged. Some people already have that all established. They belong to certain institutions and clubs and religious organizations. And if you do have that, consider yourself very fortunate. If you have a nice big family that you're engaged in and they need help, maybe part of your purpose could be helping your children raise their children, or helping out with other people, being a foster grandparent or a foster parent, or helping at the animal shelter, or doing something that is going to help activate your light. Because what is light? It's our gift that we bring into the world. And if we don't unwrap our gift, if we don't engage with our gift, it's sort of like getting a present and you just leave it in the box. Or even if you open the box, you get the present, but then you're not using the present. Okay, another question. Yes.
Someone's asking, are there any certain personality traits or pre-existing conditions that might make someone more prone to depression after they retire?
Personality traits. Okay. That's a really good question. I haven't thought of it, but I'm thinking right off the bat, I specialize in narcissism, and narcissists like to do their narcissistic look great kind of actions, and they're all about self-image, they're all about looking good and being admired. And I would say that if you're high on narcissism and you are getting rid of your narcissistic supply by retiring, and you no longer have your audience to play to, and you no longer have the money that rewarded you for being great and the positions that rewarded you for being great, it's going to be a little bit or a lot tougher, because now you are no longer engaged in using your old working system as a place to pump yourself up and reaffirm your greatness. Now, I think part of being engaged in work is important in terms of our own self-esteem and pumping ourselves up and being rewarded. I'm not calling everybody who feels good about getting paid and elevating themselves narcissists, certainly not. It's just that if your whole life is wrapped up around being the boss and using and abusing other people and looking great and getting off on awards and rewards and so on, it might be a little bit harder, or a lot harder, for you to give that up. And so that's why it's so important to solve your life issues, whether they be people pleaser issues, or, oh, that's the other end of the spectrum. Thank you for the question. If you are a people pleaser and you have been working for decades and you've been busy pleasing your boss, pleasing your coworker, pleasing your customer, pleasing everybody, and now you don't have anybody to cater to and please, that's going to be a big missing. Now, everything has its silver lining. So the narcissist who no longer gets the narcissistic supply from work, or the people pleaser who no longer gets the pat on the back for pleasing, needs to reinvest. So now, what do you reinvest in? I talked a lot in previous shows and also a lot in my therapy about fulfillment and fulfillment. So if you've been filling yourself up with supply, filling yourself up with compliments, filling your pockets with money, those are not necessarily bad things to fill yourself up with. However, there is something called fulfillment. And hopefully your job gives you some level of fulfillment. For me, I could say I have gotten tremendous fulfilling value from my work, helping people morph out of their cracklets of perception and busting core beliefs that have been like life-threatening, and helping couples overcome obstacles that ruin their marriage. And it's been tremendously rewarding. Of course, there are also challenging aspects where some people can't be helped or don't want to be helped, or blame their psychologist for not being helped. You know, that's always the downside of every profession. It's just that it's so important to make sure that whatever you're engaged in next is going to be fulfilling. So if you're thinking about retirement, think about what fulfills you. I love animals. I would love to volunteer at an animal shelter. I've tried that before. Each time I do that, I come home crying. I just want to take them all home. The guilt in me is tremendous. Maybe I'll try it again. I feel like I want to try that again and just bite the bullet and help the animals and give them a little bit of a comfort. And, you know, even if you don't go there yourself, maybe you can pack up some blankets or doggy biscuits or chew toys or something or anything, or maybe round up people who have the energy to do that. There's so much to do on the planet. There's just so much to do. And so if you're sitting around bored and you're sitting around feeling sorry for yourself, then remember that it's supposed to be that way. If you're sitting around bored, it's kind of a stab in your, you know, your butt, so to speak, to get up, do something, have some purpose. So never give up on purpose. And sometimes it takes a little bit of time to rethink your purpose. So think about everything that stems from your creativity. Maybe you like to write. Maybe you like to paint. I love to decorate. That's something that I just really enjoy. And so part of my purpose when I started slowing down was to go through tons and tons of wallpaper and choose colors. And if you don't have the budget for it, so what? Just choose something that's not that expensive. You can redecorate a house with new pillows and just a few little objects that give it a little bit of twist. But remember, without purpose, without light, without some sort of a reason to get up in the morning, it is really hard to move. And then you get stuck in a rut, and then it's more biofeedback to your mind, body, and soul that you're slowing down. And I want to talk about a very important aspect that I've been concentrating on, called evolving and devolving, and life code and death code, and recoding. And so when we go into a different phase of our life with purpose, hopefully, we want to start encoding our new purpose into our daily routine. And this is those little baby steps that are required. They're not necessarily heroic acts, they're not necessarily huge decisions. For me, it's just simply getting up and going to the gym or going to a yoga class or showing up at my taekwondo class or taking my vitamins and meal planning and making sure that I stay healthy and avoid cholesterol and gluten and all the things that hurt my body. So that's my purpose now. My purpose is health, family. My purpose is to focus my energy on helping people who still need help, with the idea that I don't want to throw away everything that I have built. I don't think that would be healthy for me, to stay engaged in what I love, which is my profession, my career, my creativity, the mind map, of course, which took years and years and years to build out and to employ and manifest and apply in different ways. So there's always going to be new twists and turns. And the main thing is that if you concentrate on the baby steps, get up in the morning, eat a healthy breakfast, that's already purposeful. One of the lines in my book, Be the Cause, is simple line that says, health begets health. And if you don't have a copy of my book, I suggest that you order it from Amazon.com, because then you can hold it in your hands and highlight things, or you can get a free copy simply by requesting it. If you haven't yet learned the mind map process, I've got 2 videos out. One is called the 9-panel mind map journey to healing, and that is available. And then the one on healing from narcissistic abuse. So if you don't particularly love therapy and you want to do it yourself, so to speak, you can do it yourself and then enlist the help of a mind map specialist to help you process your feelings. So life doesn't stop, and if you stop your own life, you're going to start encoding entropy into your life. In other words, you're not evolving up, which takes energy and momentum. You're slowing down and you are devolving and not pumping the pump. So it's really, really important to understand that you can't stop, you know? Sure, you can on the weekends, you could sleep in. It's just a very, very big mistake to stop, because it takes so much to build something. It takes so much to develop momentum. It takes so much to build a career, to build equity in something, whether it's intellectual equity or financial equity or both. So you don't want to completely just unplug from it, wake up in the morning and say, okay, I'm done. I have the liberty of watching my friends who are working and they're more full of vitality. They may be more stressed. And then I have certain people who are no longer working, and those who are no longer working and do nothing aren't faring very well. And those who are no longer working and maybe take up a second career are full of life. Maybe there's a second career that you've always wanted to do. Maybe you want to, I'd love to be a decorator. Maybe I love real estate. So maybe my second career is looking for real estate and decorating the homes that I find. I used to love flipping homes, and that's something that I can get passionate about. So please, please, please pay attention to your passion and don't stop moving. Never. One of my biggest regrets is that I stopped my Taekwondo 17 years ago. I attained black belt status, and then oh, I achieved my black belt. So I thought, well, I don't have to go to Taekwondo. It's pretty hard, and it was really hard to break the brick and get the black belt and meet all the requirements. So I thought I'd take a nice long break. And then 17 years later, I was begging my master to take me back. And now it's kind of a disaster because I can't kick as high and I can't move as quickly, and my balance sucks. And so that's what I get for stopping. However, I am really, really proud of myself for going back to class. And now I'm with students that are half my age, and they're looking at me like I took the little blue bus to class. But you know what? I don't care. What I do care about is that I keep moving. What I do care about is that I'm engaged. What I do care about is that I'm trying. What I do care about is that I'm never gonna give up. And so fight for what you've got, fight for what you've created. If you're thinking about retiring, don't think about not moving and sleeping in, certainly not, and eating bonbons all day, because retiring could for some mean a rise in your cholesterol level and an increase in your weight, and jeopardizing your health through triggering diabetes or heart attacks or strokes or whatever. Remember, the body needs to pump the pump. We have a heart, we've got vessels, we've got a whole system going on there. And no sooner would you want to shut that system off. And that's like saying, okay, heart, you've been pumping a long time. Let's retire you. Well, now you're dead, okay? Or even let's slow down the heart. Well, now you're losing stamina. Or anything to do with the message that you're slowing down. Instead of slowing down, I would say redirect. That would be a good way for you to view the next chapter of your life if you're wanting to do something. So think about it, even if it takes you some time. Sit with yourself, figure out what you're excited about, figure out what your needs are, figure out what's appropriate for your age and stage and your budget, and definitely seek the wisdom of accountants and estate planners and so on. As you age, you want to have all your ducks in a row. One of the things that I like to do is clean out my closet and give things away. And so I don't want a lot of clutter. So one of my purposeful things is just to spend some time digging in there and getting rid of stuff that I don't really want to use, and lightening up. And so that's another purpose, just to lighten up, figure out what's necessary, figure out which people in my life are elevating me and bringing me value, and surrounding myself with those people, being more assertive, making friends, inviting people into conversation. These are things that you can do, because as we age, many people complain that they don't have a friendship circle. Some of your friends might be dying. I have a classroom reunion coming up, and so many of my classmates are deceased. It's pretty shocking. I get notification all the time that another class member has passed away. And so remember, we're not here forever. And whatever you have to do it with, do it. And if you're not as strong as you were years ago, or you don't have the need to make as much money or to spend time at work, redirect your purpose, and make sure that that light is still flowing through you, and that the darkness of laziness, the darkness of demotivation doesn't eat up your light, because it's real simple to get comfortable in a chair. And now we know that sitting too long is worse than smoking. It's the new health risk. You sit too long, the blood stops flowing, you hurt your back, you pinch your nerves, you're not flowing blood to the brain, and so you can't stop. Like what's that commercial? I forgot the name of the commercial about, you quit when you're dead. I think it's Nike, or I forget, but don't stop, because it's the daily process of engaging with our mind, with our body, with our intentions. As long as we're vital, we need to recognize that we have purpose. And as long as we have purpose, it's good for us and it's good for others for us to engage in our purpose and share our light. Because really, what it boils down to is sharing with people and helping people to evolve and be in partnership with people's evolutionary process. And whether you're an artist or a psychologist or a farmer or anybody, you have your light, and you can't just squander your light and retire your light, because it doesn't work that way, because then it starts being dimmed down, and then you start feeling dulled down and bored and depressed, and it's really, really, really hard to climb out of something once you've just completely neglected it. So do not neglect your life. Do not neglect your life force. If you look at panel number 7, 8, and 9, you can see that 7 represents synergy, actually. So if you align yourself with people who are on a synergistic journey, like-minded people who have a lot of light to give, who don't mind sharing their light to make you a better person and vice versa, that's the kind of people you want to surround yourself with. And if you look at number 8, the healing panel, you could see that this is where you get to still stay active. By staying active, you lubricate your life, so to speak. So I remember training with somebody, and he said, the motion is the lotion. And I thought that was very wisely put, because the motion of our life is the lotion. It's the juice that keeps us flowing. So even though we might want to take those vitamins, which I do, and make sure that we're getting assistance in our health, we still have a responsibility. So panel 8 is the motion and the recoding panel. So the old encode might have been your old purpose, and focus on your new purpose so that you can be a contributor to the planet. So, why are we here? We're either sharing our light and making the world a better place, or we're making it a little duller, and it starts with you. So if you're making yourself a little duller, you've got less to give. If you're making yourself a little smarter and more creative and more interesting and more contributory, then you are back into the light. Are there any questions or comments, or anybody want to call in? We do have a few minutes, and I'd like to speak with you rather than just answer questions in the chat room, which is nice too. But I'd rather speak with you and remind you that you can get a copy of my book, Be the Cause. And mainly, if you're retired and you do have the time to do therapy, maybe this would be a good purpose for you to clean up your past and get out of old childhood wounds that are shadowing over your future and incapacitating you, and still living in your mind and body as trauma responses. You don't need that. And the mind map is very specific to identifying childhood wounds that tear away at you, and identifying reactions that shut you down. And what is the question, please?
Someone's asking, how important is therapy or counseling for someone that's struggling with depression after they retire?
I think it's huge, because people need human connection. Therapy is just one of those interesting places where You are heard, okay, and mirrored. You know that if you don't have people in your life who hear you and mirror you, it's so important to have a person who has your back, an objective observer person who can um, see into you and give you kind of feedback that maybe other people don't dare give you. One of the downsides of being a psychologist is sometimes I tell people things that they don't want to hear. I try to be careful with it, but sometimes I I vote for saying things that maybe they don't want to hear because if they continue to do what they do, they're going to trip up and go into chaos and eventually break down. So better the breakdown prevention and try to intercept than just let it go. So yes, to answer your question, I think therapy is a vital part of healing. I don't know how people figure things out just by thinking it through or just shoving it under the rug or repeating things over and over. If you're repeating old patterns from the past and you're not getting better, if you keep seeking out people who are still hurting you, ignoring you, taking from you, or if you're one of those people, I think it's vital that you get help. And I and my team do that. And as I said, I'm still doing what I love to do. And so please feel free to reach out to me and we can figure out the best plan for your therapy so that you can live part two of your life with as much light as you have acquired in your lifetime, and maybe enhance your light and redirect yourself in a purposeful way and be the cause, because that's really what I'm saying in my book is be the cause of better outcomes to your life. That is the log line. So if you haven't already gotten a copy, please do. If you're still stuck, please call and get yourself in therapy. So big deal. You spend some time and money on healing, and that time and money spent on healing hopefully will bring back money into your pocket, money that you don't waste on ridiculous people who take from you, money that you don't waste on horrible choices that are then going to hurt your life. So sometimes investing in something is actually going to save you money and time and emotion. So of course I'm a proponent of therapy. I've been doing it for many years, and I think that it's important who you choose as your therapist and that you choose a system of healing that isn't going just going to be endless therapy, talk, no knowledge gained, no plan. And that's why I created the mind map, because there's a plan. People learn, they understand the cause, they understand the way to create a new blueprint so that they can be causal and reshuffle the deck and have a better outcome for their life. So if there are no more questions in the chat room or no more callers, I want to thank everyone and invite people to reach out to me, and I'm happy to discuss where you're at, your mental health, and what I or my team members can do to help shift you into a place where you are purposeful and meaningful and can really manifest the best of your best. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Good night, everyone. Thank you.